What's coaching? So, this is the mantra part of it, the mantra, tantra and yantra. So, the first part of it is what is coaching. So, let us see, a business and a personal tool, it is a business tool for growth and performance. If you use it properly, if you use it effectively, the result is assured. You don't, but it might take little time, but you have to consistently attempt it. If you consistently make it way of life, then it does not take time. The first time when you change yourself, it might take time. Once you have gotten into that coaching leadership style, then it is all about coaching yourself and the team. So, you give that, you play it in a manner, the it really shows up in your everyday leadership style, while talking to the team, while coaching the team, while reviewing the team. Because the teams, I used to I was working in a company, IT company, where I used to love the review process with my boss. Even if I have not done my numbers, there are situations when I have not done my numbers, met my numbers, but the review process becomes a learning process. You don't get insulted, you don't get humiliated, and then you are down and out. What will happen? That employee, because one quarter he has not delivered, he got fired from the company. So, how do you avoid that kind of a situation? There could be situations beyond your control sometimes. The employee might have put all good efforts in making the performance happen, but how do you make that review process as a mutually beneficial process, where the failures are identified, the root cause of the failures are identified more than just this, the failure itself, and the root causes, you have a clear action plan and you have a clear empowerment plan for the employee to really go about making and provide all the support to enable the employee to go about creating those actions and fix their accountability and be assertive there. And the whole review process, if the employee becomes aware of why and where and how he has failed, I am sure he will find a reason to perform better than the previous quarter. So, that is all about. So, coaching is a fundamentally an art and science. It's to be practiced on a daily basis. If you don't do that, if you bring in your managerial style of functioning, then it becomes then you are not going to create a branding for yourself as a leader. I mean, you will continue to become continue to grow in your life as a manager, a very good manager. He's a very good manager. If you give him the job, he will get it done, right? So, coaching is fundamentally an art and science. It comes by practice. The most challenging part of an organization is dealing with a human relationship. That's what I'm saying. I talked about review process, I talked about people engagement, employee motivation, inspiration. There are so many things. We deal with only people in the company, in any company. Products and services are subset. In the go to market, in the organization strategy and structure, people uh, become the crucial component of the the organization. So, dealing with human relationship, whether it is peers or colleagues or the team members or the cross functional teams. So, how do you nurture and foster a culture that really reflects your leadership, leadership for the leadership to towards organizational performance. So, coaching addresses this challenge. So, this coaching is all about. So, we'll get into the next level of what is coaching. So, coaching is a powerful business tool. I think all of us must use it appropriately in our workplace, in our life, so that we become a great leader over a period of time. We stand for our own identity, we have our own brand image, we will create our own position in the organization and also in the society in the long run. What is coaching and how it impacts? Coaching is an engagement where the coach supports the coachee to find his or her own solutions to the problems to unlock his or her potential. So, coach responsibility is to engage with the coachee, your employee, your team member, and support him initially to find his own solution to the problems. So, there is hidden leadership potential available in everybody. people know. If he is a technical person, he knows. You are not a technical person, you are a manager, but you can't be, you have to ask the right questions, whether he has done all these things, right, by asking the questions. So, you are making the you are actually nudging, you are actually you are making the person move from one point to another point to find a solution. So, that is very important. How are we going to do that? That is by powerful questioning. We will see that. Coaching enables the coachee to open up his or her mind to draw from his own wisdom by active listening and asking powerful questions. So, this is very important. So, if the discussion review process is happening, so more listening has to be done and more questioning has to be done. So, that is how the whole engagement it comes out. So, that is one key thing. Coaching brings focus and objectivity into discussion. There is no subjectivity, there is no judgmental approach, there is always a zero based approach. This employee always faults. If you carry that impression, then you are not giving opportunity for that employee to correct himself, because you are actually stamping him as a always a person who always does it wrongly. So, when that is created, his moral his motivation levels go down. So, obviously, 2-3 times you do it, snub him off, then he will never ever would find he'll have a motivation to find a solution or improve his own capabilities. So, it's very clear. So, how do you make it happen? How do you, so that's the whole process, coaching process. So, you need to have the discussion, you need to bring in objectivity, you need to bring in the why component, why you have to perform, why the organization is expecting you to perform, why the organization is, what is the organization vision and what role you are playing in that part of the overall vision, everybody, and what you will get as a result of your achievement. So, I think we need to inspire people, you need to really get the people to understand the vision, understand the company's strategy, understand the objectives, understand what role you are playing there, and understand how it will impact your life both professionally and personally. Coaching fosters self-directed leadership competency. So, you can't be controlling 10 people in your team sitting here in one room, because that's what most managers would like to do. But then the whole day, morning 9 to evening 8, you will be busy, people walking into your room, asking for your solution. I think more and more you empower the team, your team will empower the other employees further. So, obviously, it has a cascading impact on the organization itself, and you can focus your productive time in terms of focusing on the strategy and planning for the next quarter and the next year, or the next 3 quarters, or the next financial year. So, you need to play that beautifully. You need to you want to be sucked always into the operational and tactical issues of the organization, or you want to be part of operational issues and also have time to manage your strategy and planning, because you have to think about the future. Part of your time should be devoted to the planning and strategy making, because that's where you bring in more value, you bring in more creativity. Then you call quarterly meeting and then do a brainstorming and then bring out lot more ideas and then take out the ideas and then start rolling out execution plans. So, that's how the whole thing happens. So, how do you create self-directed leaders in your organization? It's very important. You can't be telling them always what they have to do. There are business KRAs, there are your performance KRAs. So, you have to clearly define all of them, and also clearly demonstrate that in everyday action as a leader. Coaching helps you to be non-judgmental. So, how do you take a zero based approach? It's very important. Mr. N.R. Narayana Murthy always say, he said, in Infosys board, we always take a zero based approach. What is zero based approach? So, you don't bring the conflicts of the previous discussion or the previous board meeting into the meeting that's happening today. Today you are dealing with a new challenge. Today you are dealing with a new problem. Today you are dealing with a new set of new project. So, if something else has not gone well, you are not to you don't get biased by what happened in the previous meeting, and you want to settle with some of the team members in this meeting. So, what happens, that is a different meeting, this is a different meeting. So, you need to take a zero based approach. I think that approach will give you starting from a clean slate, and that gives you openness in the whole meeting. So, people will come out without any fear, contribute ideas, share share solutions on the meeting. So, it becomes very powerful and empowering for the leader as well as for the team. So, so how do you become non-judgmental in the overall leadership engagement style? Coaching is all about integrating thoughts and actions. It's very important. You need to demonstrate, this is what I'm talking, this is what my vision is, this is what my strategy is. I don't want to talk about a different strategy tomorrow, because I wake up in the morning, I get something in my mind, but park it, keep it, take it into a drawing room and do a brainstorming, not to put it into action immediately, because you woke up in the morning and then you got a beautiful idea that can be implemented. So, if there is a strategy, if there is an execution plan, that has to go, but you can have put in a governance mechanism, where in the governance mechanism you can bring in new ideas to the stakeholders and discuss it out, and then incorporate those ideas into the main business plan. So, you can't be doing an tactical approach, you can't be taking a on the fly approach, because you need to bring everybody on board, everybody to contribute in the whole idea, because it's your idea, there could be a couple of others who could oppose this idea, unless you build a consensus within the team, within the management team, within your team, how this particular idea is going to enhance the performance. Maybe a good idea, yes, but you can't put on your own autocratically, because I have found this solution, I have found this idea, you guys have to go execute it. Because you need to take every stakeholder into the on board when it comes to any new initiative. So, it's all about thoughts and actions. You need to demonstrate that. By my boss is actually every time changes his ideas, changes his thoughts. He told me in the previous meeting, this is what we are going to talk about this. We are going to do this for our customers. We are going to increase our market share. We are going to have these set of products for this financial year. Suddenly he comes and says, no, we are not going to sell this, we are not going to do this, we are not going to do that, we are going to do something else. So, this will confuse people, the whole organization will get confused. So, you need to have a governance mechanism, you need to have a real a planning exercise where the relevant stakeholders are part of the discussion, and there is a consensus building process, so that everybody contributes in the overall achievement of goals. So, coaching is all about stretching the potential. I said only 10% of your potential is being utilized now, anybody for that matter. If I can take that 10% or 20%, it's like an iceberg, you only see the top of it, that is what the performance is. The remaining part of the iceberg is actually submerged under the underwater. So, what happens if you are able to bring out some part of it outside through an engagement process, it's a deep engagement process, by creating more awareness, to create more accountability and create actions, then what happens, it will have a multiplier effect, not only a multiplier effect between yourself and the team, but also a cascading impact to the last employee in the organization, because you are going to really cascade it down, you are going to really percolate down as a leader. This is what we are going to do, this is how the actions are, this is how we are going to execute the plan. So, stretching, so I like this by His Highness Sri Ravi Shankar. Stretching sound is music. So, it's a beautifully said. I want to relate it to coaching, because these are all very inspiring words, and I want to take inspiration from this when it comes to leadership development. Stretching sound is music, stretching movement is dance, stretching mind is meditation, stretching life is celebration, stretching emptiness is bliss. I think that's the last nirvana state. Maybe we might attain that, we might get to that level after 50, 60 or 70, right. But let us look at, there is a path to that bliss. So, we have to cross all of that, be it in our personal life, be it in our professional life. So, you have to go through the path. How fast you grow depends on how you are able to perform and contribute to the organization. So, stretching is good, but not to create stress. Please remember, stretching is good, but not to the level of creating stress. You create stress, you are actually creating a breakdown. So, stretching sound is music. That is what we actually do in music. How the crescendo happens from a soft music to when the crescendo it reaches a climax. The music actually engages everybody and energizes the people. So, that's the energizing part of it that I am talking about. Sometimes people get energized by listening to music, while some organizations play soft music in the workplace. Because why? Because that somehow connects with the mind, connects with the emotions of the people working in the organization. There is some theme music which is playing that constantly reminds you about where the organization is heading, right. So, stretching sound is music, stretching movement is dance. So, dance form comes, movement becomes dance. Stretching mind is meditation, stretching life is celebration, stretching emptiness is bliss. I just want to leave this with you. I am not going to go deep. I am not a meditation expert. I am not a I am not fit to be talking about it, but I thought I will draw this inspiration from this particular set of quote, because it will help us to take this journey in a much more meaningful manner. How coaching helps? So, I am just relating to coaching. So, like the previous slide, this one, stretching your potential beyond obvious, because we work on obvious business as usual things every day. So, this is what I can do, this is what I am delivering. My manager has told me to do this, so I am doing this. So, it is obvious things. So, how do you go beyond your obvious things and then stretch your potential? Stretch your thinking to explore infinite possibilities, because solutions are there. There are so many creativities you can bring to your life, but the leader, the manager has to play the role of asking the right questions, asking powerful questions to bring out the best of his potential out. So, there are infinite possibilities. Coaching brings out the infinite possibilities to explore new solutions. So, how do you create, how do you stimulate your right brain? Left brain keeps doing those analytical and other things, but creative new things or how do you stimulate your right brain in order to come out with new things, new ideas every day. Stretching your performance to become exceptional. How do you become a exceptional person? You carry exceptional skills, exceptional competencies. You can do this if somebody comes to you, you can guide that person to find a solution. So, that is an exceptional skill. That is what the leader should have. Every one of us should have. So, if you come, I do not have a solution for everything, but by talking to my leader, talking to my manager, I somehow find while talking, and then after 2-3 questions he has asked me, I somehow come out with a very powerful solution, powerful idea to find a solution for my problem. So, how do you become exceptional there? Stretching your ability to do things differently. How do you do things differently than the obvious and business as usual? So, that makes a mark in your way of doing things. So, you will be noticed, you become a likable person in the organization, likable employee within the organization. So, that is very important. How do you do differently? How do you create your own space? As an employee, as a leader, an employee becomes a leader. So, how do you create your own space? Stretching your mind to stay focused on the objective. So, how do you stay focused on the objective? Because objective is stated, this is what I have to move. I have to move from point A to point B, and this is my plan and this is my execution that I am willing to do. So, you do not stray away from the focus. stretching your capacity to do more with less. So, this is again, increasing the productivity. Increasing the productivity. Don't ask for support every time. Don't ask for resources. Don't ask for big investments every time. Because most of the investments you do, it goes waste. Half of it may go waste actually. So, actually it is hitting the bottom line of the organization. It is not going to help you, because if the organization does not grow on a profitable in a profitable manner, you are not going to get your salary, your increments, your rewards and incentives and other things, or the stock market performance will not be good, because how do you make your organization likable in the stock market? How do you create value for your organization, your market value, right? So, that is very important, stretching your actions to achieve your purpose. So, this is again, how do you create actions? Because coaching is all about actions, leadership is all about actions. You have to keep doing actions, you have to keep doing things, not saying things and then okay, done. Okay, so that attitude does not help. So, you have to keep doing actions. As per studies, only 10% of your actual potential, leadership potential, is currently being used. So, if you can double that to 20%, that means your performance is going to double. You may not achieve 100% potential. That is very difficult, because it is only the tip of the iceberg. Only you are seeing the tip of the iceberg. So, how do you make it a little bigger? What is visible in terms of performance? So, that is what coaching will finally do. Good to great. Leadership at a high level, right? So, good leaders create followers and great leaders create leaders. So, how you make an employee to become a leader? That is why I am saying coaching to self and coaching to the team, it has to be a constant ongoing process. Coaching to self and coaching to the team, it has to be a constant ongoing process, whereby you keep getting the employee ready for the next level of responsibility, next level of leadership role, next level of higher role and responsibility. So, how do you do that? Coaching helps in making a difference in your leadership competency and continual growth. Coaching helps a leader move from good to great, because you must have read that book Good to Great. It is all about how good companies are moved to the greatness over a period of time. It does not happen overnight. It takes years and decades sometimes. If you want to stay in the game, if you want to become a great leader, whether it is Apple or Facebook or Google or any company in India, Airtel or Infosys or TCS or any company, if they have to stay great in its place, then they have to constantly innovate. They have to move from good to great, and then again then the greatness becomes new goodness. Then from that goodness to greatness. So, how do you keep moving from one level to another level and then maintain the great position, maintain the leadership position? So, that is very important. How a leader is born? So, let me give you this small anecdote. King Arthur, he must have he is a medieval king in Britain. He is a British leader in the late 5th and 6th, early 6th century. That is where all the knights in England, in Britain, were fighting with each other for power. Who should be the leader? So everybody was having their own viewpoint. Everyone was claiming themselves to be a leader. So this is a very interesting, inspiring example, where according to medieval histories, he led the defense of Britain against Saxon invaders in the early 6th century. So obviously he led from the front. He presided at the Knights of Round Table. He made the table round, because round means everybody is equal. Though I am a leader, I give equal, I treat everybody equally. So it's a round table. So that's the whole concept behind the round table, the Knights of Round Table. That's when while there should not be seen that if it is a flat table, what happens? The head sits on the other end, and then other people will be sitting on the side. So you will know that who is the head. So here in a round table, everybody is equal, though he is Knight of Knights or King of Knights. So he gave the equal opportunity, equal leadership, treatment to all the knights. All the knights were fighting before this. All the knights were fighting with each other in the power struggle. How he became? How he became the king? He became the king of knights by being able to remove the mighty sword stone carved in the rock. So, he was able to pull this mighty sword engraved on the rock. It was just it was part of the rock, but he was able to pull. It is something like how Rama won the heart of Sita by breaking the bow, and then he they got married with each other. So, I think this is a great story, how you take leadership, how you bring in the power of yourself in leadership. It is very important, because leader is born from nowhere. Because let me ask you, how is the leader is born? How is the leader born? You might have seen Lagan movie. Let me bring in Lagan movie. Lagan movie, it's a movie, very interesting movie. How Amir Khan becomes a leader there. When there is a challenge which is posed against the entire village, there is one person who takes the challenge. Yes, we'll play cricket with you. It is not about playing cricket. It is about the purpose. It is about why he took up the challenge. Because it's a matter of their life, the matter of their future. The British people were imposing heavy lagan on all of them to pay. When there is no harvest, there is no rain, there is no, how do I pay? We are all starving. So, that inspiration, he stands up in the entire from the entire village, and everybody in the village is against him. Why did you take up the challenge? You are going to sell off this whole village to the British people by agreeing to this particular challenge. So, we all know that movie. So, a leader is born from nowhere. He is just born and taking the challenge right there, which brings he brings high reward for all the stakeholders, and he led in the front. Then he never knew how to play. The entire team, the entire village never knew how to play a cricket game. That's so inspirational, the story. So, he brought the team, he brought the 11 people together. That took some efforts from him. So, he builds a team. So, that is where he is building a team from nowhere. So, he stands up, he takes the responsibility, he takes the challenge, and because at the end of the day, it is all about dignity, it is all about, it's our own country, somebody from outside has come and challenged us, and he is asking us to come and play cricket, because he knows that we are going to lose and we are going to pay up 3 times the lagan. So, that's a very inspirational story if I have to tell how a leader is born. It is not by saying that running away from challenges. So, a leader actually rises to the occasion by taking the challenge, which brings in high reward, but there will be high risk as well. While accepting certain challenges, it comes along with it a huge risk as well. So, that movie is a very inspirational movie. I am sure we can take a good learning from that movie, how the leader is born. How do you define success? This is another thing which Stephen Covey, I have taken from Stephen Covey. How do you want to be shaping up your leadership? Because leadership doesn't happen overnight. Leadership style doesn't happen overnight. How do you inspire people? How do you want to be talked about? How do you want to create your own social likability, society likability? How do you want to be known in the market? So, if you carefully consider what you want to be said of you at the funeral experience, you will find the definition of success. So, when people come to attend the funeral, they will say, hey, this person is the greatest person I have ever met. Not that this person always fights with his wife. No, he is a miser. No, he is not given anything. He is a rich, filthy rich fellow, but he has not even given back to the society. So, you want to be said about what you want to be said about at your funeral experience. That will define what you want to become over a period of time, and how do you want to leave this world with what you want to be said of. I think that is the key definition for success. Success is not about not just achieving your numbers. Yes, achieving numbers for the organization. Organization also has to think, what do I stand for in the society? How do I give it back to the society? There are many organizations, very good, thank God. I mean, it's really good to see many organizations are actually giving back to the society through the corporate social responsibility. That's leadership. So they have their own objectives and initiatives beyond their stock market performance. They are giving back to the society. I think that's how the individuals have to play. The leadership qualities have to come out in that manner. So it is not that about me and how do I become a vice president, how do I become a president, how do I become a CEO. I think that journey will happen provided you are able to bring more leaders under you. You are able to inspire people under you. This is another thing which I thought I'll leave it with you. This is a book written by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Leaders. The first one is be proactive. I am not going to go deep into that. I am just putting it as part of the overall learning program. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, seek first to understand. This is about listening, seek to understand and then be understood, synergize, sharpen the saw. This is about learning, ongoing, lifelong learning. So he talks about learning is a lifelong. So you have to sharpen the saw every time. You have to keep bringing in new knowledge and new skills in your life. Undergo frequent self-renewal. You have to keep every 3 years, every 2 years, every 5 years, every 10 years, things are changing outside, things are changing in this world. So how do you keep in tune with the changes that are happening in this world? How do you become relevant to the world? So all these are simple things, but very difficult to implement. That's what the leader has to do. Otherwise, the leader will become just a boss and a manager, and a best case a manager. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind. So always a clear plan, a roadmap, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, that end, but the means is also very equally important. Put things first, prioritize, clearly schedule your priorities, not prioritize your schedule. First create a schedule with your priorities in mind, with clearly stated. Think win-win, seek first to understand and then to be understood. So think win-win, what is think win-win? That's what I said, boss and the employees, you have to always have the win-win equation. In partnership model, you have to have win-win equation. You can't have the company will win, the partner will lose money. No partner will stay with the company. So it's all about think win-win strategy for all the stakeholders. This is about listening. First you listen and then you talk and then be understood. First seek to be, first seek to understand, because the employee is speaking, allow him to speak. Don't create fear or, in his mind that he doesn't open up even if there are problems. Certain employees will not open up. They will be shy, they will be fearful. So how do you create an open mind, open space for people to, really speak to you, and you listen more than, you talk. Synergize with the skill sets, because you can't have every skill set within you as a leader. Leader is not a superhuman being. Leader is a composition of the entire team. So if there are 10 skills, there will be 10 people. So how do you leverage all the skills so that the entire the outcome of the team's performance is exceptional? So it is for the leader to channelize the energies and the potential towards the common goal and get the best out of them. That is called synergize. So this we have seen it, lifelong ongoing learning process. Effectiveness to greatness. Everybody is saying how do you become a good manager to a good leader to a great leader. So how do you bring in the effectiveness to become a great leader? So this is the 8th habit. This is a separate book. This is the 7 habits that comes in one book. I am sure everybody reads it and then applies it in their professional and